welcome from here in the Rift Valley, in the heart of Kenya. It's an incredible day today as I'm headed out with several of my students to observe one of the projects undertaken by yet another one of our fabulous Harvard students just outside of Nakuru in the IDP camps. But as we've been driving along, we've been marveling at the landscape here in Kenya's Rift Valley, but we've also been having a wonderful time discussing the kinds of projects that are ongoing, not just here in Kenya, but throughout the continent. And it really is quite something to be thinking about. Whether again it's IDP projects, or the fabulous waste management effort that's being undertaken by one of our students up near Nanyuki, near Mount Kenya, here within this region, but of course throughout the area, throughout the DRC, where we have a student engaged with a filmmaking project, in Mali, where we have students working on performative arts, Ghana, looking at the different kinds and roles of youth and nationalism, to Southern Africa, where we have students working on HIV/AIDS projects, and of course others who are looking at a variety of different contestations in places like Rwanda in the post-genocide aftermath. And in fact, my list could go on and on. We send over 150 students every year to Africa. We send 150 students who have engaged in many ways in the continent long before they arrived here. They have the opportunity to take over 300 different courses at the university. We boast the world's foremost language program, of course, thanks to Professor John Mugana. And of course, the range of faculty is again something to marvel at. Over 100 across the FAS and professional schools working on Africa and engaging with our students and engaging, of course, with collaborators and partners here on the continent. So I invite you to marvel with me at the kind of work that's being done here on the continent, throughout East, West, Central, and Southern Africa, the kind of work that's going on in the classroom, and the collaborations that are taking place. As together we're working across the university with our partners here in Africa to be thinking about the kinds of challenges, both in the past, the present, and the future, and working together to find solutions, to think creatively about ways in which we can engage, not just here, as I said, on the continent, but of course, with the entire community back at Harvard.
For Harvard to become an African Studies Center, precisely at a time when so many universities are cutting back in the humanities, in expansion of the social sciences, in regional geographical area studies, that shows the commitment of a truly great liberal arts university to the study of the accomplishments of people of African descent on the African continent.
The continent is fascinating, it's complex, it's going to be more and more important to the world in the future. And at Harvard, we're going to have a robust presence there because so many things that are going to be important to the world will be happening on the continent.
Our students are enthusiastic about traveling to Africa for the many different kinds of internships and programs that they have advantage. It is a continent that is exploding with interest across our undergraduates.
The study of Africa will actually help drive collaboration in the university that's going to make Harvard a better place.
What better place to have African studies than W.E.B. Du Bois's alma mater? My God, Du Bois was the pioneering Africanist within the African American community. The relationship among the Committee on African Studies, the W.E.B. Du Bois Institute for African and African American Research, and the Department of African and African American Studies is inextricably intertwined. Each of our units does a different aspect of one larger project.
I've had the privilege of visiting Max Essex in Gaborone and of visiting Bruce Walker's multiple efforts in Durban and spending time at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. And I think what's remarkable about what both of them have done is not only the research papers that are produced, but the capacity building that they have engaged in. I think it's just marvelous that researchers at the University of KwaZulu-Natal have their own NIH grants from the US government, something that is very, very difficult to pull off.
The main thing that I've gained is just, a true personal, experience and understanding of it. Being here during the epidemic, getting a sense of how things really are. You hear about it back in the States, and it's difficult to really get a sense of it until you come here and you see the burden that there is in the hospital. I mean, 80 to 90% of the patients here in the hospital are HIV positive, and an incredible number of those have TB as well.
I started the Harvard Humanitarian Initiative because I believed that academics has a real role to play in the humanitarian response of non-government organizations and UN organizations in conflict settings in particular. I wanted to create a humanitarian academy, or a place where we could develop technical resources and academic resources and link those resources to non-government organizations.
It's incredible what we have here. 31 African languages are taught on our campus, more than any other campus across the United States. Professor John Magami has done an outstanding job. It is an opportunity for the students not only to understand the culture and what's happening there, but actually be able to experience it by picking up the native language.
Language is what language does. It's not just to be learned for language requirements and then you just go away. It is really about, why am I learning it, and what is it making me be able to do? Is it empowering me to actually understand the subject that I'm studying? And also, is it empowering me to actually be an agent for change and to impact people's lives and my own as well?
So in the 19th century, there was very little that was known about the interior of Africa.
Well, it's okay, welcome. Really, I think we should.
But many of them reported basically having a non-marital partner, and you could see in Lesotho even higher numbers.
Anybody here of Charles Darwin? Survival of the fittest, right? What happens with this? Darwin comes out of all this in sort of mid-19th century. In a paradigmatic shift, Herbert Spencer takes all of this and applies it not to species, but to who? Humans.
How would you, if you were advising the Ethiopian government, or you were in the Ethiopian government, or an NGO in Ethiopia, what are the sort of strategies for affecting change in this context?
But I'm here in Nanyuki working for a group called Safi Project, which is working on waste management in the Laikipia region, of which Nanyuki is on the eastern part. And I am right now working to create an integrated waste management system that would involve waste collection, separation of trash, recycling, and then hopefully composting and doing as much to eliminate both littering and burning of trash as possible.
This summer I was in Gaborone in Botswana. I was working at a boarding school. I was a writing tutor. The name of the school was Maruapua.
My dad's, he always plays everyone.
So one of the things that she was saying was that hopefully after having done research here that I could come back and be able to be helpful, and that sort of introduces one of the biggest challenges of doing research in a place like Pipeline. And it's been incredibly challenging to navigate that that tricky balance between the two, and between understanding that this is real life for people. What is your role, and how can you be honest with yourself and with the people that you're with?
So I did my dissertation fieldwork between 2008 and 2009 in Durban. I'm studying the history of the Nanda Seminary, the first boarding school for black women in Southern Africa, as well as more broadly the history of women's schooling in Southern Africa.
Currently, what I'm doing under my LLM program is I'm studying the domestic trade regime, our new trade regime under our new constitutional democratic sort of order.
I worked in Zambia with a doctor friend of mine from MGH. We did ultrasound work and with Lebone, and over the last 3 years I have brought about 7 or more Harvard students to Sierra Leone to work on my malaria project.
I spent this past summer in northern Nigeria studying Hausa, the language that's spoken up there.
Getting the Harvard South Africa Fellowship has allowed me to come to Harvard and to pursue my studies on one end. And then on the other end, it's also allowed me the opportunity to interact with some of the researchers.
Particularly in the last year and a bit since I began my anthropology work, a lot of my ethnographic research has been funded through the committee.
Name your favorite topic. Chances are there's a lot you can learn from research and study in Africa. You're interested in the life sciences. There's tons of work to do it, whether you want to do it in a lab, as Max Essek does it in Gaborone, or whether you want to do it with large animals, as those who study primates engage in it. You want to be able to learn varieties of languages and how language families relate to each other. You want to understand the relationship between poetry that is spoken and poetry that is written down, and how is it that these interact with each other. You can do all of that and much more in Africa. That connects to the vision of a university that wants to engage with the world and everywhere that world may exist, because that's what makes us a university.
The world is a much smaller place today than it's ever been in the past. Africa will be a huge impact on where the world is going in the future. Having our students be extremely interested in what's happening in Africa, our faculty interested in the programs there, there's nothing but incredible upside for us in the future, and I look forward to the program growing. Title VI just allows us to have additional funds to expand our programming in that area, and the future is very bright for African studies.
What is Africa to me? Copper sun or scarlet sea, jungle star or jungle tract, strong bronzed men or regal black women from whose loins I sprang when the birds of Eden sang. 3 centuries removed from the scenes his fathers loved, spicy groves, cinnamon trees, what is Africa to me?